In KwaZulu-Natal, at least 28 schools have been vandalized, and this is only since the start of the lockdown on the 27th of March. A total of 183 schools across the country have been burgled, set alight or vandalized. Now this weekend, the newly revamped eThekwini Primary School in Durban was robbed of equipment, including laptops for pupils. Our reporter in KZN, Karinda Jagmohan, spoke to the province's MEC, Mshengu, today.
183 schools across the country have been burgled since the start of the lockdown on the 27th of March. In KZN, we understand that number is at 28 schools that have been affected. But to talk to us more about this, I'm joined by the KZN Education MEC, Mshengu. MEC, thank you for speaking to Newzroom Africa. 28 schools attacked in KZN. Can you just give us a summary of what was happened? We know the worst is the Mbambazi High School in Bergville.
Well, our schools are under attack from the criminals. The future of our learners is deeply compromised. It's unfortunate that while we are still trying to mitigate against the impact of COVID-19, we now again have to deal with the wave of burglaries in our schools. 28 of our schools across the province have been burglared, obviously with Mbambazi being the one severely affected because it was set on fire. There is another one which we had just completed renovation in February together with Cotton On Foundation at the heart of KwaMashu, the eThekwini Primary School, which was really one of our state-of-the-art schools at the heart of KwaMashu location, as it were. It was burglared and everything in terms of ICT there was stolen. So we are really quite taken aback and quite compromised, and this is the battle that we continue to say will not be won until the communities reclaim their streets, until the communities really protect their schools, because schools are centers for community development. They are centers where we really have to reconstruct the new South Africa which we want. You know, even during the apartheid era when most of the institutions were a symbol of apartheid, but the freedom fighters, the communities never thought of burning a school, of burglaring a school, because they knew that once we attain freedom, these schools will be the centers where we reconstruct the new South Africa. It's unfortunate really that 26 years into democracy, we're now seeing a wave of attack to our schools.
MEC, surely this is going to result in a loss worth thousands of rands because of the amount stolen, the schools damaged. Now, with regards to the academic recovery plan, is there inclusions to now, rebuild our schools and find more equipment for our children?
Definitely, this is going to cost millions of rands. You remember that we are still trying to find money to build the schools that were damaged by the storm last year in December and early January this year. We still don't have that money, and now we need to find money to rebuild these schools that have been vandalized by the communities. The money that we could be using really to invest on quality education for our children.
MEC, a daunting task for you indeed ahead, but we also need to take into consideration the future of our matric pupils. I know in KZN we're having radio classes to help our pupils. After the lockdown is lifted, what's our plans for the grade 12 students?
Well, the minister will be talking to the nation hopefully before the end of this week about the plans that the sector will roll out to catch up on the time lost. We'll leave that to the minister. We have made our contribution as a province of KwaZulu-Natal. We have even consulted a number of stakeholders in the province to say this is what we think should be happening. But obviously, the plan must talk will talk about two things: the academic recovery plan, which talks into curriculum, as it were. But we also need to say logistically, how do we prepare our schools so that they don't become a platform for a virus to regenerate and replicate itself. You remember, for example, in KwaZulu-Natal we have 90,000 educators, we have over 2 million learners in the system. Now, how do we make sure that all of those learners, when they come back, at least they come back negative, including the educators? Because in one instance where an educator comes back with a virus or a learner, it will mean that he can infect other learners or educators in the school, then the virus will then start regenerating and replicating itself. So we need a comprehensive plan really to reopen our schools, so that we don't get taken back when we reopen. But the minister will be speaking to the country about what we believe as a sector should be done to recover the time lost.
MEC Kwazi Mshengu from the KZN Education Department, thank you very much for speaking to us. And of course he's talking about the important plans ahead for the Department of Education. Now, not only do they need to consider the future of our pupils in schools, but now they need to plan ahead for financial recovery due to the number of schools that have been attacked across the country. 28 schools in KZN. The MEC has pleaded to the community to assist the department ensuring that our schools are protected during the lockdown. For Newzroom Africa on Channel 405, I'm Karinda Jagmohan in Pietermaritzburg, KwaZulu-Natal.